Hi, how are you doing? I'm doing great. Today it's time for another reading vlog, what I'm very excited about. It's one that I already did last year. I'm doing again this year. It's slightly different, obviously, because I'm reading some of my most anticipated 2024 releases. I did the same thing, like I said, last year. I did one halfway through the year and then at the end of the year, which technically came out in this year. But I just think it's fun to read some of my most anticipated new releases with you all. This time around I have four. They're all romances, which wasn't necessarily the plan. I like a bit of a variety in these vlogs, but oh well, that's just the way the cookie crumbled. So we're gonna have to deal with it, but I'm gonna quickly go over all the books that I'll be reading in this reading vlog. In fact, I'm filming this outro last, so I have read all of these already. I'm just quickly gonna be over the books that I will be reading, and then we're just gonna get into the vlog part. So the first book that I read for this video is Fangirl by Tessa Bailey. Next I read Not in Love by Ali Hazelwood. Then next I read King of Sloth by Anna Huang, which is the fourth book in the Kings of Sin series. And lastly I read A Funny Story by Emily Henry. And yeah, those are the four books that I read for this reading vlog. Let's just get into things. Hi, here's a fun fact about me. Despite being very up to date with everything always happening at the hour store, this is the first time I'm watching a live stream. So that's fun. We're in the middle of champagne bottles. In the middle, we've passed the bridge, so we've done the most important part. But I thought I'd give you a reading update for Fangirl by Tessa Bailey. This wasn't the first book that I intended to read for this video, but I've been in reading mood and I just wanted something quick and fun, and I thought this would be exactly that, and so far it is. I'm having so much fun with this. I am 200 pages in, so like there's no system to me updating really, besides that I've been reading this for a big chunk of the day, and I'm about to, I'm gonna continue watching Taylor, but like I'm about to go to bed. So I'm putting this down for the day, so I thought I'd update you. But I, like every Tessa Bailey, this is very sex heavy, very like I feel like in every Tessa Bailey book they're just like it's insta lust, really is. I think like Tessa Bailey is definitely known for dirty talk as well, so there's a lot of that going on in this book already. But you know what, I'm not minding it that much. I do think just to begin with it was a bit much, but the dirty talk actually I really liked. They kind of like their banter and like they're flirting with each other. It's just that we've had a sex scene already and I didn't really like that. Like that did nothing for me, which was kind of a disappointment after how much I kind of like liked them bantering, I guess, in a sexy manner. So I'm having fun with that, and I do think as much as this was like insta lust, I also feel like they've been getting to know each other pretty well and have had some moments of like opening up, and I feel like the love aspect of it is being very slowly developed, which I'm really enjoying. He's definitely down bad, like he just went from 0 to 100 like very quickly. Like still not at kind of like the love point, because he has some personal issues which makes him difficult to like trust people, and he's like very far from getting over that. But just when it comes to like all the rest, he's like obsessed, which honestly I really enjoyed, because when this book started I thought the fangirlness of Josephine over Wells I wasn't a big fan of. I like celebrity non-celebrity romances. Like Wells I wouldn't necessarily fully call a celebrity, but like kind of. But as much as I like those, I hate when like one of them is just like a massive fan of the other person, because I feel like that just, I don't know, leaves things in an icky place. But considering just how down bad he was for her, and now it kind of seems like he's the fangirl, not her. So I don't know, I like that switch up. I think that's fun. And yeah, it's not like the best romance I've ever read, but I'm having a lot of fun with it, and I'm definitely finishing this one up tomorrow. Hi, so it is the next evening, and I have finished Fangirl by Tessa Bailey. Doing a bit of a later update. I finished this actually a couple of hours ago, but this afternoon I had just like really bad allergies, so I didn't want to be in front of a camera, but like things are better now, so I thought I'd discuss. This ended up being a 4-star for me, which actually is a bit of a surprise. I've heard very mixed things about this book, and the last couple of Tessa Baileys that I've read have been misses for me, so I did go into this just a bit hesitant, still hopeful because it did sound a lot of fun, but still a 4-star is not really what I expected, but I'm very happy with it. Overall, I just think this was such a fun read, and that's the main reason I give this a 4-star. I do have to say that this book is pretty sex heavy. If that's not something you like, that's also something to keep in mind. I typically don't like it that much, but I also don't mind it too much. But this is very sex heavy, and the sex scenes did absolutely nothing for me. Like, they were so boring. Like, I don't know, I almost skimmed over them just because it just was nothing. But for the rest, I feel like the banter between these two main characters was really great. I also loved how they opened up to each other, how damn bad for each other they were. Especially the guy, he was very damn bad for the girl, which I already talked about. And yeah, it's nothing to take too seriously. It's not like a new favorite romance. It wasn't like too swoon worthy or anything. But it was just a very fun and quick read, which is all I wanted from it, so I can't complain. Okay, so I'm just quickly popping in to say that today that I'm filming this is the release day of Not in Love by Ali Hazelwood. And immediately went out to the bookstore and bought it, and I'm gonna be starting this one, and I'm so excited. Okay, so it's much later in the day and I'm 200 pages into Not in Love by Ali Hazelwood. I've been insanely tired today. I don't know where that came from, but that's why I didn't read as much as I wanted to. I kind of wanted to read this all in one sitting, but maybe it's good that I'm not, because I like savoring books as well. But this book has been an odd one so far, as in I don't know how to feel about a main couple. Like, I'm enjoying this book, I'm having a fun time, I'm not loving it yet, but I'm having a really good time so far reading this. Most of my tabs are marked funny, which is really weird because this book starts with like a note from Ali Hazelwood saying that this book is more serious and like not as much of a rom-com. Like, it's still very much still a romance, but it has more serious tones. But I almost only have funny tabs in here, so I don't know if that's something that's gonna come in later, because it is quite obvious that both of these characters have kind of like a more of a tragic backstory. So I don't know if that's just because we're gonna delve into that later and that's where that comes in. But like right now I'm not really seeing this as that much heavier than Ali Hazelwood's other books. But when it comes to the romance, I'm not completely sold on it, and it's just very weird because most of the relationship so far has been like sex-based. Definitely much more like definitely much more smut in this book than Ali Hazelwood's other novel, so that's a heads up if you want to know. So even though it has been like very sex forward, I don't feel that chemistry there. Like, when it comes to like sexual tension, it's giving me nothing, which is so strange. Because typically a book, that's sex heavy, I'm always complaining about that, sex is not everything. And now I don't get that part of this. I do feel like, yes, they're far away from like developing feelings from each other, but like they do have a great dynamic together, and you can tell that they kind of like are weirdly enough starting to feel comfortable around each other, even if they are on like such like opposing sides. Their personalities just click together really well, and I'm very excited to see that romance develop because of it. But I just sexual tension is just, I don't know, it's gone. I don't As soon as they start talking dirty to each other and like start flirting with each other that way, I'm out. I don't want to film this update. I really don't, because it's not good news. Because I finished Not in Love by Ali Hazelwood and I'm giving it a 3-star. I'm sorry. It took me a really long time to figure out what about this book was not clicking, and by the end I realized is that even though these characters have trauma dumped on each other this entire book, I don't know who they are as people. Like, I can tell you so many different tragic stuff that happened to them. I can tell you their kinks, and that's it. I can tell you what they're passionate about, what they like to do in their free time, if they like to read, if they like to watch movies. I know nothing. Well, no, he plays hockey. That's it. And that just made it that I wasn't attached to this, because I didn't know our characters, and therefore I never really found myself like fully invested in it and a romance. Like, I don't know, they do have some cute moments that it's there, but like I can't say that they have like chemistry together, because they aren't people. They are cardboard cutouts with tragedy projected onto them. And that's such a disappointment, because I do feel like this book tackles a lot of great themes, and I think it does so greatly and very emotionally. And I feel like if I just was attached to these characters more, and if I knew them better, I would actually give a fuck when they tell me about their tragic backstory, and I would probably sort my eyeballs out. Like, this had the potential to be my favorite Ali Hazelwood, and White has very recently just taken that spot. So the fact that I'm talking about it, that something else could easily surpass it if it just had that little bit more character work. I feel like this could have been devastating but beautiful, and it wasn't. I was not attached to anything happening in this book at all. It wasn't a bad book. Like I said, I do think what it's trying to do, it does semi-successfully. I just feel like I didn't know these characters. Hi, so I have started and finished Skin of Sloth by Huang without telling you about it. I'm sorry. But this past week, I was just feeling a bit under the weather, and I chipped away at this book bit by bit throughout the week, and I just didn't really feel like being in front of a camera because I wasn't feeling great. So I'm giving you this update now. And yeah, I ended up giving this book a 5 star, which was a little bit unexpected because even though I absolutely adore the first 2 books in the series, because it's a series of companion contemporary billionaire romances. So each book follows a different couple. You don't necessarily have to read them in order. But book 1 and 2 I really loved, and then book 3 I was like really hyped for because that couple got teased quite a lot. It's Second Chance, Marriage in Trouble. So I was like very hyped for it. And if you saw my last video in this installment, I read King of Greed in that one, you know that that was a massive disappointment to me. And this was another couple that got teased quite a bit in the other novels, and I was very excited to see play out. So I was very scared that this was going to go the King of Greed route, but it did not, and I'm very glad it didn't, because this ended up being my second favorite in the series. King of Pride is still my favorite, but this is a close second. I feel like this one, but you can very much tell from my tabbing that this one like took me a little bit to get into, because like the first 100 pages or so, no, the first like 60 pages don't have any annotations at all. And after that, it gets wild with the tabbing. As with this one, just took me a bit to get into. I don't know what it was about the beginning that was just, I don't know, a bit more difficult to get into. But before I realized, I was like super invested in this book, and I could not let it go. I was very just like enthralled by these characters. Xavier and Sloan are amazing characters to follow, and I loved their personal journeys. Personally, for me, this book kind of did what Not in Love promised to do, but I feel like it like focused a bit more on like the emotional side when it comes to these 2 characters, and they have to work through a lot before they are in an emotionally ready place to be in a relationship, which was also the case for this book. And I feel like they could be like loved and loving, and I feel like this book just executed that way better. Yeah, I'm sorry, I just think when it comes to that emotional note, this one just succeeded at that really well, and you really felt like the heaviness of everything. You got to know these characters and everything they've been through, and you understand everything, their thought process behind every decision they make in this book. And it I didn't cry while reading this, but it did feel a bit heart-wrenching to read at times. But also at the same time, it's a very light-hearted book. It's a very fun book, very funny. Like most of my tabs in this are orange, which is funny. So I laughed quite a lot because Sloan and Xavier have amazing banter. And overall, I just loved their relationship development and how that was executed. And I love them as characters. I thought they were a very great match together. And I have described this book as kind of being more like my review on Goodreads and everything, and even on my bookstagram. I said that this book feels like a warm hug. Well, King of Pride for me, it gets like that burning passion, you know, and that wasn't this book, but you know, it's a very warm, comforting hug instead. Hi, I'm sorry for the bit of a lazy setup, but I'm not feeling well, so we have to deal with it. But I'm a quarter of the way into a funny story by Emily Henry. Actually, fun fact, I have been annotating this, but I'm holding it far away so you don't accidentally see any spoilers. But I am not tabbing, and I'm kind of changing up the way I annotate, just like in general. I'm having so much fun doing that. But that's a sidetrack. I am a quarter of the way into funny story, and that is 96 pages, and I am really enjoying this one. I've been filming this vlog over like quite some time, but summer reading has just ended, and if you watched my reading vlog for that, you know that I did not have a lot of great readings during that week. And just diving into this book, and I already feel just like the joy of everything coming back, because I'm just liking it so much. I really like Daphne as a main character. I think she's very like great to follow, and I'm relating to her in some aspects quite a bit, so that's fun. Also, the setup for this one is just a whole lot of fun, and I'm liking just kind of seeing that play out. We are very much still like in beginning stages, but I already love just kind of the interactions between Daphne and Miles. I think they have such great banter together, and I can't wait to kind of see their relationship develop. I'm very, very excited to keep reading, so I'm gonna do that right now. Gonna see how far I'll make it in tonight, because like I said, I'm not feeling that well, but I should be updating you next at the halfway mark, which hopefully which hopefully will be today still. Okay, so I promise you, I meant to update you earlier, but I just could not stop reading Funny Story. Like last night, I got to just under the halfway mark, and I was getting too tired to read, so I stopped reading. And then this morning, I picked it back up again, and I fully wanted to update you at the halfway mark and at the 3/4 mark, but I got so sucked into this that I kept reading and I kept reading and I kept reading, and now it's done, and I cried quite a lot, and I loved it. It's a 5-star, easiest 5 stars I've ever given. I do think this is my favorite Emily Henry so far. Yes, yeah, definitely. It's go this, then Book Lovers, and then I think Happy Place, People Meet on Vacation, and Betrayed last. I think that's all of her books. Adult romance books, yes. I think that's my ranking of them, but I just really love this. Like I said in my previous update, I really relate to Daphne on a lot of fronts, and just I loved her personal journey throughout this book. And when it comes to the romance between her and Miles, I think they're perfect for each other, and I loved just how that developed throughout this book and the emotional bond that they formed throughout this, just chef's kiss. And I also think this book just did a really great job balancing them getting over heartbreak and like dealing with this breakup that was fucking brutal, and getting over their exes really well, with at the same time having them like fall in love. I think the combination was done really well. I feel like it's a tough one to pull off, because I've definitely read romance books in which one of the characters is trying to get over their ex, like breaks up with their ex like at the very start of the novel, and sometimes it can definitely feel like they're not over the ex by the time we get to the romance, because they just get brought up constantly. And I feel like in this one, it was a perfect combination of kind of like healing from those things while also kind of falling in love at the same time with someone else. And I thought it was so beautifully done. And like I said, I cried quite a lot towards the end, and not all of them were sad tears. Some of them are like happy tears too, and like, oh my god, I can't believe this. I got so attached to these people so quickly. I loved it so much. So there you go, that's all you need to know. So yeah, those are the 4 books that I read in this reading vlog. A 4, a 3, and 2 5s. So I would argue that this was a success. I still take like Lot of Love was a bit of a disappointment to me, like I think it personally, but like for the rest, I can say that this vlog was a fail considering the star ratings, and this easily is one of my new favorite books of all time, so I definitely can't complain that sense either. So yeah, this was a fun time. I hope you had a fun time as well. Let me know in the comments if you read any of these books, what you thought of them, as well as some of your most anticipated 2024 releases. I might be doing this again by the end of the year, I don't know, and I'll have like a little collection of books by the end, but I do know some books that I'm highly anticipating are coming out in the second half of the year, so maybe not, we'll see. But I always love doing these, so there you go. And yeah, hopefully I'll see you around next time. Good. Here I am again, the same old situation.